Hello again and welcome along to another of my reviews of budget hotels in the United Kingdom. And if you're a regular watcher of my reviews, you'll know that I mainly focus on budget hotels in the major cities of the United Kingdom that are aimed at business travellers. But this review could just as well be for tourists or couples or families or anyone who's looking for a reasonably priced, good quality hotel. Now today I'm back again in London, and I'm in West London in an area called Hounslow. Now Hounslow has some big advantages, but it also has some disadvantages, and the main advantage is it's quite close to Heathrow Airport. In fact, Heathrow Airport is very accessible, but that also means it's a long way from central London. Now I'm going to give you some really handy, useful tips if you're thinking of staying at this hotel. But before I do, let's have a tour of the room and then keep watching, and nearer the end I'm going to give you some really useful information and I'm going to tell you whether I would stay at this hotel again. But first of all, here's my room tour of the Hounslow Travelodge. So let's begin with a room tour. Well, first of all, the bed. It's a standard size double bed, very comfortable. I found most beds at Travelodge are comfortable. In fact, most budget hotels seem to have comfortable beds. It's nice and clean as well. I've checked under the sheets and no bed bugs or anything like that. Lots of nice towels ready for me. And a picture on the wall, which is a new one. They used to have that horrible, hideous sort of red and sort of blue design. But this is one of what they call the new look rooms. And in the new look rooms, there are some features that you don't get in the old fashioned style Travelodges. So first of all, nice comfortable chair here to sit on, which is always nice when you're watching TV and don't want to go to bed. And also, it's not brilliant, but it's a much nicer chair than what they used to give you. They used to give you those plastic bucket chairs. Well, this is just a lot nicer. It's just, especially if you're here on business and you want to sit at the desk and work on your laptop computer or your tablet, do a bit of typing or whatever, it is nice to have a nice comfortable chair. And as most viewers will probably already know, most of my films are about business hotels and hotels that are suitable for business people travelling around the country. And so there is a good chance if you're watching this, you are a business person and you want to sit at the desk and do some typing on your laptop. So it's nice to have a nice comfortable chair. The usual desk, I say this on all my films, but obviously they don't provide the wine or the beer or the nuts or the snacks. You have to provide those yourself, of course. What they do provide is the usual stuff, bit of coffee, ground coffee. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. A bit of milk. Never provide enough, but at reception staff, lovely, really nice people, and they will provide as much as you want if you ask them at reception. Something else that's a bit different from usual Travelodge is a metal kettle, because normally they give you those really horrible, dingy plastic ones. So it's nice to get a metal kettle as well. It's only a minor point, but it just is a bit nicer rather than having one of those grotty plastic kettles. Another nice little touch, you get these in the Travelodge super rooms. You don't get them so much in the standard rooms, and that is these USB charging points. And it's not just a USB charging point, it's one of the new style super fast charging points as well. So hopefully my phone will charge up a lot quicker than normal. There aren't many sockets in this room. There's a couple more down by the wall, but it is really nice to have this super fast charger. Now I brought my own with me anyway, but sometimes you don't want to drag around a charger with you, and it's nice just to have that option of being able to stick it in the wall and have a super fast charging time for your mobile phone. So that's all good. Window. Now this could be a little bit problematic for some people. No noise at the moment. The air conditioning is non-existent in these rooms. In fact, most Travelodges don't seem to have air conditioning. Some of the super rooms do, but the standard rooms don't. So I'm going to have to open the window and then you'll see the problem. Open the window and you can hear already a lot of road noise because it's a fairly busy main road down there. But worse still, You can probably just hear a plane in the background, and that's going to get louder and louder because we are only a few miles from Heathrow Airport, which is one of the reasons a lot of people will want to stay here. So the point being, if the room's too hot, you've got to open the window because there's no air conditioning. Now with the windows closed, it's fine, there's no noise, but it's going to be too hot. With the window open, it won't be too hot, but it will be too noisy. So that is an issue, especially because we're so close to Heathrow Airport, and there are planes literally taking off every 30 seconds here at Heathrow Airport. So I'm a bit concerned about that from the point of view of noise or heat. And I think it is a matter of choosing between the two. Do you mind a bit of noise of planes flying past to Britain's busiest airport, in fact to one of the world's busiest airports, or do you want a room that's cooler? And if you want a cooler room, you're going to have to open the window, and if you do that, you're going to get the noise. So you're going to have to choose one or the other. Usual problem with the wardrobe, if you watch any of my films, you'll know what it is already. They only provide 6 coat hangers. Actually, 6 is better than the last hotel I stayed in 2 weeks ago in London, which was actually a much higher quality hotel, and they only gave me 5. But if you watch my other films on YouTube, then you'll know that I always complain about this. And it's not just the fault of Travelodge or of the budget hotels. Even if you stay in a 5-star hotel, you're going to have the same problem. They never give you enough coat hangers, and I just don't know why. Because they cost virtually nothing. It's just a few pennies. Why don't they give you lots more? Why don't they give you a load of coat hangers? It costs them nothing. I don't know, for some reason they never give you enough coat hangers. Fortunately, I'm only staying here for 3 nights. I'm on my own, and I haven't brought a lot of clothes with me. And it is the summer, so don't really need many clothes anyway. I don't need any kind of warm sort of woolly clothes, just got my raincoat and a few other things, so that's fine. But if you're staying here with a family or a partner and you want more coat hangers, then you've got a bit of a problem there, and I just don't know why hotels don't provide more coat hangers. Okay, so just swivelling round. Now, another slight problem with the room is the size, and again, I don't mind that too much. As you can see, it is a bit tight. It's not a particularly large room. You've got the mirror there with me, the desk, which is quite a small desk, and the chair there, and that's it. So this room is very compact, and this is something typical of the newer Travelodges. The older ones tend to have bigger rooms. I'll just stand back as far as I can. And as you can see, I'm standing near the door now, standing right next to the door. So that gives you an idea of the size of the room, which is actually quite small. It doesn't bother me too much for a few days, but if you're here with a family or with children, it's going to be very, very claustrophobic, very cramped. If you're on your own, then fine. But I do think this room is a bit small if you intend to come with a partner and some children, then, well, I suppose then again, if you're coming with children, they're not going to be staying in this room anyway, because this isn't a family room. But all the same, it is a little bit cramped. Right, let's take a look at the bathroom, and the bathroom also is very small, compact. Got a very small wash basin, obviously a toilet, and the hairdryer, as I've mentioned in many of my films. At Travelodge, in the standard rooms, they don't provide a hairdryer. You can get one at reception. First thing I do when I arrive is always say, can I have a hairdryer please? They give you one and you keep it for the duration of your stay. I advise you to do that as soon as you arrive, because they only have a limited number, and if every guest asks for a hairdryer, then they will run out because they don't have many. So do that as soon as you arrive. I always do myself because I love to have a hairdryer. They do not provide them in the room unless you're in a super room, and this particular Travelodge doesn't have any super rooms. So you've got a nice big mirror, and you see me there, and a small shower, which is immaculately clean, absolute top marks for cleanliness. Look at all the around the edges of the silicone. That's the sort of thing I always look for, the silicone around the edges. Does it have any mould? And the answer is absolutely not. Shower tray is absolutely clean as it's possible to be. Lovely clean chrome. The shower, not massively powerful, unfortunately. It's okay, but it's not that powerful. And if you've watched my other films, you'll know that I prefer the showers that have hoses. This one doesn't have a hose. You just have your switch there. I won't turn it on now, so I'll get my hand wet. and then straight up to the actual shower itself. I prefer the ones with the hoses because then you can direct the water where you want to direct it. But apart from that, it's a nice shower. It's reasonably powerful, very small though, like the whole room and everything. And then you get the usual bit of cheap shampoo and cheap soap. And that's about all you're going to get in the bathroom. So the bathroom is relatively small. Lighting situation is quite good. I mean, you've got some nice bright LED lights, another one above me, and another light over there near the window. Only a small window, so you don't get much natural light, but it's fine, it's functional. It's probably one of those travel lodges where there are some big advantages and some big disadvantages, and for me, the number one advantage, which I know sounds a bit sad and pathetic, but I think the television is wonderful. So that is the number one pro point. And also, it is a nice, clean, modern room. It's much better than the traditional standard travel lodges. They're the two big points. Nice, clean, modern, well-designed, comfortable bed, good television, nice comfy chair to sit on if you're working, and another nice comfortable chair to sit on if you're watching TV. The disadvantages, well, first of all, the lack of air conditioning it could potentially be a major problem, especially if you're staying here in summer, because you will want that window open. And if you have the window open, then you're going to get some noise. And bear in mind, busy main road outside and one of Europe's busiest airports within a stone's throw away. So this really does need air conditioning, unfortunately. The other disadvantage is the location, and I'll talk to you in a few moments about the location and give you some useful tips if you are intending to stay here. Just one final point that I will mention. I'm going to swivel round once more again here, is they do have some rooms upstairs. This is the 5th floor. They have some rooms on the 6th floor, which are not super rooms, but they are slightly more expensive. And as far as I can tell, having looked at those rooms, the only thing that you get that is any different is better Wi-Fi, which you don't really need anyway, because if you've got enough allowance on your phone, you don't really need Wi-Fi. It's on the top floor, but I don't see the difference between, I'm on the 5th floor, so why would I benefit from being on the 6th floor? And then finally, coming down here, right there, in addition to what you can see here, you've also got a coffee maker, one of those pod coffee makers. But apart from that, you don't actually get anything extra. It's about £5 extra a night. I stress it's not one of the Travelodge super rooms. It's just like a sort of a premium room for another £5 a night. And I couldn't see the point other than the coffee maker. The rooms are virtually identical. And if you're not bothered about the Wi-Fi, and if you're not bothered being on the 6th floor instead of the 5th floor, then all you're really getting for £5 a night is coffee maker. And that was the reason I decided to stay in this room. I've had a look at both rooms, and it's just not worth paying £5 extra a night just for a coffee maker. So that's the final point. Now I'm going to give you some useful information and a bit of a summary on whether I would stay here again. Well, I hope you found that useful and interesting. This hotel is definitely one that I would recommend, and I will be staying here again. But an important point to get across is about the location. It's about 45 minutes underground journey into central London. Now this might seem a lot, but one big advantage is that you're literally just across the road from the nearest tube station. So although it'll take you a bit longer on the tube journey, it's very, very quick to get to the local tube station. So that is one big advantage. You won't have much walking to do before you're at the underground station. It also has a massive advantage if you're travelling either to or from Heathrow Airport. It's literally only a 15-minute journey right into Heathrow Airport, and because the tube station is just across the road, if you've got a lot of baggage to carry, you won't have far to walk from the underground station to the hotel. So it's a great place to stay if you are travelling to or from Heathrow. The hotel's in good condition, it's modern, the staff are friendly, has good facilities, a nice bar and restaurant area. But one massive disadvantage was the lack of air conditioning, and that is going to be a big problem if you're staying right in the middle of summer, because the only way you can cool your room down is by opening the windows, and that makes it a bit noisy. So what I had to do was open my window during the day while I was out and then close the window at night. Apart from that, there aren't really any other disadvantages apart from the distance and apart from the lack of air conditioning. Everything else about the hotel I thought was very good, and it is, to be fair, a very cheap hotel as well. If you stay in a Travelodge in central London, you'll pay about 3 times more. So it is a really good budget option if you don't mind just that little bit of extra travelling and if you don't mind not having air conditioning. My name's Darren Bugg. I make lots and lots of films here on YouTube aimed at business travellers and people generally who want a good quality hotel but don't want to spend too much money. I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, like, share, all that kind of stuff. It really helps me to make more films like this. Until next time, safe travelling, and I'll see you again soon.